Is that all right, music? I don't hear no music. Okay. Am I hearing birthday music? Okay, I'm heading into it, Tara. I was just curious. All right, folks, this story is a terrible, terrible story. I don't know if you heard about it. You must have if you've been following the news. Here's the update on the pit bulls that mauled a teacher as she was jogging, I believe, in Cooper's Hill. 3 of 4 of the dogs implicated in that vicious attack, in which a St. Andrew teacher was pinned down for hours last Thursday, have been euthanized. The 4th dog, a puppy, was spared as the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which had assisted the police in recovering the animals 2 days after the attack, carried out the procedure. This teacher, a grade 6 teacher at St. Richard's Primary School, she was reportedly attacked by the dogs late last Thursday evening, in a section of Cooper's Hill in St. Andrew while she was exercising. Gosh, guys, it took her 3 hours to be rescued. She was rescued nearly 3 hours later when a police officer who arrived on the scene fired a shot, scaring the dogs off. Attempts by citizens to free her from the mauling had proven futile, and they watched in horror as the dogs, I think you can figure out the rest. Yesterday, the Gleaner reports a somber mood at the St. Richard's Primary School. Students and staff, of course, trying to process this grief. We can only imagine what this teacher's family is going through. We are told that she is still recovering in hospital, and the Gleaner is reporting that she is recuperating well and her injuries are not life-threatening. She was apparently allowed visits at the hospital yesterday for the first time since leaving the intensive care unit, according to a source at the school. The Gleaner also reports that much of the swelling on different parts of her body has begun to subside. So they had counselors on the school yesterday helping the students, helping the teachers to process the attack. Among those providing intervention were Carl Samuda, representatives from the St. Richard's Roman Catholic Church, a team from the Education Ministry. We cannot even understand the severity of this attack. And people are speaking out about her. They're saying she's a friend, quiet, calm, humble, and peaceful person. And to hear that this has happened to her is heart-wrenching. I mean, this lady literally went out for a jog. The last thing that you would expect is that you would have pit bulls atop you, and what happened after that is just horrifying. The JTA president also speaking out, Owen Speed, saying that with the government's push to have more people exercising with its Jamaica Moves campaign, a teacher could be attacked in her community while on her fitness routine. He's expressing concern about that. He says, quote, "One of the most fundamental things is that the Ministry of Health is promoting the Jamaica Moves program in schools. Teachers will carry that from the schools into their communities. If teachers or anybody else cannot walk freely on the roads, then that is something that we have to look at." This whole issue of pit bulls is also something that has been discussed in Jamaica for a long time, because this is not the first time, ladies and gentlemen, that this is happening. So the JTA president has also called for a ban on citizens owning pit bulls and other dogs considered dangerous. What do you think about that, Jamaica? What do you think about that wherever in the world that you are watching? Also weighing in, attorney at law Peter Champagny, who was himself apparently attacked about 6 years ago by a pit bull. He explained only the importation of the animals is on the law books now as an offense. He said, quote, "We should not move away from the discussion without recognizing that dogs are important. The more I meet people is the more I love my dogs. What is illegal is the importation of that breed. But prior to the plan, we had pit bulls here. And people are also mixing the pit bulls with other big breed dogs, which cannot be a good thing." He himself, as I said, attacked by a pit bull, had to receive surgery overseas to save his hand from becoming deformed. So I think there are more discussions that we need to have. I think out of one of the last attacks, Minister Audley Shaw had said at the time that they would look at some way of trying to curtail these things from happening. I don't know about pit bulls as pets. Some people will tell you that they are very mild-mannered and it depends on how they're raised and grown, but this story suggests that there's some more discussion and debate that we need to have and some more guidelines that need to be put in place. Maybe if you have pit bulls, you need to have a 30-foot wall in your yard so that the dogs can't get up. But it cannot be good that somebody who is just going on a morning walk or evening walk would literally know have almost lost their lives because of dogs. So the animals have been put down, folks. I hear a lot of people asking about lawsuits. Apparently this one is not liable for a criminal lawsuit at that time, and there will only be a lawsuit if the lady who has been injured decides that she's going to sue. So I think it would be a civil case as opposed to a criminal case. All right, so we're moving further afield now. This is interesting. Supreme Court rules that Boris Johnson's suspension of Parliament is unlawful. Look at that. Prorogation ruling. The Supreme Court has ruled that Boris Johnson suspended UK Parliament unlawfully. The decision was apparently unanimous. The PM had claimed he shut down Parliament to prepare for a new session, but critics said it was to stifle opposition over Brexit. So, reacting to the ruling, of course, opposition politicians are calling on the Prime Minister to resign. John Burkrow, Speaker of the House of Commons, has said lawmakers must reconvene, quote, without delay, after the Supreme Court's stunning decision to not only rule Boris Johnson's suspension unlawful, but to quash the prorogation entirely. In a statement, Burkrow has said, I welcome the Supreme Court's judgment that the prorogation of Parliament was unlawful. The judges have rejected the government's claim that closing down Parliament for 5 weeks was merely standard practice to allow for a new Queen's speech. In reaching their conclusion, they vindicated the right and duty of Parliament to meet at this crucial time to scrutinise the executive and to hold ministers to account. So I don't know if you guys remember the uproar that came out of this when the suspension of Parliament was announced. All sorts of parallels were drawn between Johnson and other leaders in other parts of the world at that point in time. I won't tell you who, but this is very, very interesting, a development, especially within the context of this whole Brexit decision. Joanna Cherry, who's the lawmaker and lawyer who brought the Scottish case that the Supreme Court has sided with, has made her own statement. She said this is an absolutely momentous decision. There is nothing to stop members of Parliament, such as myself and my colleagues, from resuming immediately in scrutinising the government. I am absolutely delighted that the United Kingdom Supreme Court has agreed with Scotland's Supreme Court. His position is untenable, and he should have the guts to do the decent thing and resign. Something tells me Boris Johnson is not going to resign. I don't see it happening. All right, well, that is it for our hot topics for this morning. I see a headline here, read online. I guess you can follow this up. Electric buses for Jamaica. Energy Minister Favour William wants Jamaica to seriously consider introducing electric buses to the public transport system. The switch from the current diesel-operated fleet of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company would demand significant capital cost, but Williams says there could be favourable long-term savings. Maybe we need to get the ones that are not electric right before we head into electric, or maybe it's a good thing to consider. You know, technology is evolving, so if there's a way to save money down the line, then we welcome that.